Chapter 13. The Yoga of Discrimination between the Kshetra and the Knower of the Kshetra. Sri Bhagwan said, "This body, Arjuna, is termed as the field, Kshetra, and he who knows it is called the knower of the field, Kshetrajna, by the sages discerning the truth about both. Know myself to be the Kshetrajna, individual soul in all the Kshetras or fields, O Arjuna, and it is the knowledge of the field, Kshetra, and knower, Kshetrajna, that is, of matter with its evolutes and the spirit which I consider as true knowledge. What that field or Kshetra is, and what is its nature, what are its modifications, and from what causes what effects have arisen, and also who its knower or Kshetrajna is, and what is his glory. Hear all this from me in brief. The truth about the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna has been expounded by seers in manifold ways. Again, it has been separately stated in different Vedic chants and also in the conclusive and reasoned texts of the Brahma Sutras. The five elements, the ego, the intellect, the unmanifest or primordial matter, the 10 organs of perception and action, the mind, and the 5 objects of sense, namely sound, touch, color, taste, and smell. Also, desire, aversion, pleasure, pain, the physical body, consciousness, firmness. Thus is the Kshetra, with its evolutes briefly stated. Absence of pride, freedom from hypocrisy, non-violence, forbearance, uprightness of speech and mind, etc., devout service of the preceptor, internal and external purity, steadfastness of mind and control of body, mind, and the senses, dispassion towards the objects of enjoyment of this world and the next, and also absence of egotism, pondering again and again on the pain and evils inherent in birth, death, old age, and disease, absence of attachment, and the sense of mindness in respect of son, wife, home, etc., and constant equipoise of mind, both in favorable and unfavorable circumstances, unflinching devotion to me through exclusive attachment, living in secluded and holy places, and finding no delight in the company of worldly people, constancy in self-knowledge, and seeing God as the object of true knowledge. All this is declared as knowledge, and what is contrary to this is called ignorance. I shall speak to you at length about that which ought to be known, and knowing which one attains supreme bliss. That supreme Brahma, who is the Lord of the two beginningless entities, Prakriti and Jiva, is said to be neither Sat or being, nor Asat or non-being. It has hands and feet on all sides, eyes, head, and mouth in all directions, and ears all round, for it stands pervading all in the universe. Though perceiving all sense objects, it is really speaking devoid of all senses. Nay, though unattached, it is the sustainer of all nonetheless, and though attributeless, It is the enjoyer of gunas, the three modes of Prakriti. It exists without and within all beings and constitutes the moving and the unmoving creation as well. And by reason of its subtlety, it is incomprehensible. It is close at hand and stands afar too. Though integral like space in its undivided aspect, it appears divided as it were in all animate and inanimate beings, and that Godhead, which is the only object worth knowing, is the sustainer of beings as Vishnu, the destroyer as Rudra, and the creator of all as Brahma. That supreme Brahma is said to be the light of all lights and entirely beyond Maya. That Godhead is knowledge itself, worth knowing and worth attaining through real wisdom, and is particularly abiding in the hearts of all. Thus, the truth of the Kshetra and knowledge, as well as of the object worth knowing, that is, God, has been briefly discussed. Knowing this, in reality, my devotee attains to my being. Prakriti and Purusha know both these as beginningless and know all modifications such as likes and dislikes, etc., and all objects constituted of the three gunas as born of Prakriti. Prakriti is said to be responsible for bringing forth the evolutes and the instruments, while the individual soul is declared to be responsible for the experience of joys and sorrows. Only the Purusha, in association with Prakriti, experiences objects of the nature of the three gunas evolved from Prakriti, and it is attachment with these gunas that is responsible for the birth of the soul in good and evil wombs. The spirit dwelling in this body is really the same as the Supreme. He has been spoken of as the witness, the true guide, the sustainer of all, the experiencer as the embodied soul, the overlord, and the absolute as well. He who thus knows the Purusha, spirit, and Prakriti, nature, together with the gunas, even though performing his duties in every way, is not born again. Some by meditation behold the Supreme Spirit in the heart with the help of their refined and sharp intellect. Others realize it through the discipline of knowledge, and still others through the discipline of action, that is, Karma Yoga. Other dull-witted persons, however, not knowing thus, worship even as they have heard from others, that is, the knowers of truth, and even those who are thus devoted to what they have heard are able to cross the ocean of mundane existence in the shape of death. Arjuna, whatsoever being, the moving or unmoving, is born, know it as emanated through the union of Kshetra or matter and the Kshetrajna or spirit. He alone truly sees who sees the Supreme Lord as imperishable and abiding equally in all perishable beings, both animate and inanimate. For by seeing the Supreme Lord equally present in all, he does not kill the self by himself, and thereby attains the supreme state. He who sees that all actions are performed in every way by nature or Prakriti, and the self as the non-doer, he alone verily sees. The moment man perceives the diversified existence of beings as rooted in the one Supreme Spirit, and the spreading forth of all beings from the same, that very moment he attains Brahma, who is truth, consciousness, and bliss solidified. Arjuna, being without beginning and without attributes, this indestructible Supreme Spirit, though dwelling in the body, in fact does nothing, nor gets tainted. As the all-pervading ether is not contaminated by reason of its subtlety, though permeating the body, the self is not affected by the attributes of the body due to its attributeless character. Arjuna, as the one sun illumines this entire universe, so the one Atma or spirit illumines the whole Kshetra or field. Those who thus perceive with the eye of wisdom the difference between the Kshetra and Kshetrajna and the phenomenon of liberation of Prakriti with her evolutes reach the Supreme Eternal Spirit. Thus, in the Upanishad sung by the Lord, the science of Brahma, the scripture of Yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, ends the 13th chapter entitled The Yoga of Discrimination between the Field and the Knower of the Field.